Hello, my name is Reuben Meyer, and today I'm going to talk to you about implicit bias towards African American people in and outside the American justice system. Implicit bias is the collection of stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions in an unconscious way. Everyone has an implicit bias because we're all exposed to them from a young age, and even people who aren't supposed to have biases still have them, like judges in the Supreme Court system. In the United States, we're exposed to a bias against people because of their race, ethnicity, or appearance, and our bias is especially evident in the prison system. Media portrayals about crime have a tendency to distort crime by disproportionately focusing on news stories that involve serious crimes committed by people of color, especially black on white violent crime. This leads to people having a misconstrued view of black people as perpetrators of crime. The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world. For every 100,000 people in the United States, 762 are in jail. This is more than twice as high as any country in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, including countries such as Israel, Turkey, and the Czech Republic. This number is also 4 times the number of those in the prison system 35 years ago, with over 7 million adults in correctional supervision in the United States, including jail time, parole, prison, and probation. Out of this massive amount of people in prison, the black population is severely overrepresented, with black people taking up over half of the prison population. In 2000, the incarceration rates of black people were 9 times those of white people, with 1,800 incarcerations per 100,000 people. This was in part due to the war on drugs, which was an attempt to rectify the problems in the prison system, but in reality, it made it a lot worse. Policies such as the Comprehensive Crime Control Act and the Sentencing Reform Act drove the war, causing blacks to be arrested at a much higher rate than they had before. The incarceration rate for people doing crack to people doing cocaine were 100 to 1, and because crack was cheaper, many people in black neighborhoods that were less well off, that was all that was available to them, got arrested at a much higher rate. This was also because much less was needed in their possession to be arrested, and cops just happened to be in those neighborhoods because of their implicit bias. The war on drugs was clearly not an effective approach to either addressing crime or addressing drug addiction, and its policies actually worsened the racial disparities in incarceration. But many of the laws that were in effect during the war on drugs are still in effect at both the state and the federal level for these offenses. Another way that implicit bias is shown towards African Americans is in photo recognition. When given a test where people were shown a picture of a black person and then a crime-related object, they were 6 times more likely to recognize the crime-related object when shown an African American face first, compared to if they were shown a white face first. Stereotypically, black faces are also much more likely to be misremembered in a court setting and are much more likely to receive the death penalty unjustly. Even though we are raised with an implicit bias, it is important to be aware of it so that we can teach our children to grow up in a world without it. We have to be careful about the way that we think about people without even trying to, and the first step is being aware of the biases that we might not even be aware of ourselves.